Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit entitled People and it's by user Irish Cream the Nerd. Future mother-in-law called the cops on me because I wouldn't let her hit my fiance. It's been a long damn month. My fiance's grandparents, future mother-in-law's parents, both had pretty scary falls in the last month and we've all been taking turns making 250-mile trips down to help and visit them. It's been stressful. Next month, fiance and I have a trip planned to go out of the country for a week to see my grandparents, who are older and I haven't seen in years due to them being out of the country. The plan was to have fiance's kid brother, 17 male, take care of our pets while we were gone. They both knew of and agreed to this. Well, last night, future mother-in-law realized that if we're out of the country, they can't take a 3-day trip to visit mother-in-law parents. And according to mother-in-law, leaving kid brother by himself for 3 days is a hard no. So she announced she was going to board the dogs. Fiance took exception to this because our older dog is terrified of everyone outside of the household. And our younger dog is really bad at reading aggressive body language and will actively try to play with dogs that would tear her apart. This started an argument between fiance and mother-in-law where mother-in-law accused fiance of not caring about her own grandparents. Things got heated, but I convinced fiance to retreat with me into our room. Things seemed to cool down for a bit, but when I ran downstairs to grab fiance's switch so we could go hide out at my apartment, mother-in-law was still ranting, saying that she wished she never had my fiance. She was mad at Kid Bro for attempting to bail from the argument and accused him of siding with them and was saying some of the most unhinged crap imaginable. I tried to gently defend fiance because, frankly, she's put her whole life on hold for a decade to support her mom and brother. She kept yelling that fiance is not her daughter. Eventually, fiance got sick of hearing things and started yelling back at her. Mother-in-law called her a bitch, fiance returned the sentiment, and at that point, mother-in-law yelled that I should control my stupid bitch because mother-in-law is going to punch her in the effing face. Mother-in-law went back to her room, still yelling, with my fiance telling back. I tried to convince mother-in-law that fiance and I had been hiding for almost an hour while she was still ranting and that we weren't the ones pushing the argument. Eventually, she snapped and yelled, "I'm going to get that bitch!" and attempted to sprint past me down the hallway. I interceded and stood between her and my fiance. Mother-in-law pushed and shoved and tried to squeeze past me in the hallway. She nearly made it too, but I picked her up and put her back down on the other side of me. She then announced that she was going to call 911, which I invited since no violence occurred. Well, I got shoved and she got mildly restrained, but no one was hurt. She yelled at the 911 operator on speaker, so me and fiance could hear and interject. Demanded someone get out there because her daughter was verbally abusing her and the 911 operator was getting frustrated with her. Eventually, she hung up and minutes later, cops show up. Thankfully, I knew one of them from work and explained everything I typed out above. Mother-in-law talked to his partner outside. Apparently, my fiance, who was hiding under her bed, was watching on the Ring camera and watched her mom straight up lie to the cop. They advised us that since no one was injured, mother-in-law claimed I broke her thumb, but it obviously isn't broken, that we should just try to avoid each other and let things settle. After they left, fiance and I hid in our room, while mother-in-law bomb texted her about how I'm an evil danger to the whole family. Yesterday, I broke her thumb. Now she's texting fiance that I beat her up in the hallway. I didn't. I'm so effing heartbroken over this whole thing. I've been with fiance since high school. I clean the house. I do all the chores. I'm designated driver. I fix cars. I fix computers. I help little bro with his homework. I've given so much of myself to this whole family. I help mother-in-law with her extremely evil ex. They frequently comment that I'm too nice because I always stop to help anyone I'm in a position to help. But apparently now, to mother-in-law, I'm an evil bastard who's unsafe to be around because I wouldn't let her hit her daughter. F my life, man. Fiance says I should have just let her mom punch her in the face because then we could just go back to everything being normal. Wow, OP, first of all, your fiance is way off base. There is nothing normal about any of this. Neither before nor after you stopped her from punching her in the face. Here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. Absolutely no more contact with that disgusting woman. The only person I'm worried about in this whole situation is that little bro. He's 17. He's got one more year before he can finally get away from those claws. So maybe you guys can help him out. I mean, he is living in an abusive household with that woman. And I don't know in which position you're in to help. Maybe you can do something. And regarding your fiance, she needs to get her crap straight and understand that her mother is not normal, and that relationship and that treatment is not normal. And if she refuses to see it, then maybe you need to do some thinking of your own, OP. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Anonymous DLM says, it's very concerning your fiance wanted her mother to hit her so it would all be over. She needs therapy, and the two of you need to move into your apartment and go low contact or no contact with mother-in-law. Marsupial Worth 6780 says, is there a reason y'all can't permanently move into your apartment? Mother-in-law having no consequences for her actions for 51 years of life has rotted her brain into a narcissistic, manipulative mud puddle of a human. I would have called her a piece of crap, but I like that better. I have a hard time imagining there was ever a normal with her that most people could accept in their life. There will almost always be another situation with this person that'll be just as bad. I'd personally move out all my stuff and snag a few extras along the way to pawn off. Don't do this part. To fund a house or pet sitter and move on with my life. No Hospital 559 says, damn, you're in your 30s and willingly marrying into this absolute disaster of a family? I could understand if your fiancé had cut these horrible people out of her life, but she hasn't. She will continue to get manipulated and used by these people until she cuts them out. You will be brought along willingly on this ride until she gets off. It's wild that people are like, yes, I would like to marry into this dumpster fire. And OP responds, well, my fiancé is the kindest, smartest, and most loyal young lady I've ever met. I don't throw away any of the very, very few genuinely good and good-hearted people I find in life. And Gralb the Muffin says, you're choosing to live this way and you could choose not to. This is going to be your whole life forever. Every day until mother-in-law kicks it, unless you and your fiancé choose not to. Or unless you choose not to if your fiancé won't choose your lives and happiness over mother-in-law. It's time to leave. Find someone else to stay with. Move on with your life and get away from crazy. Or accept that mother-in-law is what you want in your life because you're choosing to stay with her. Well, the community agrees that at a minimum, OP and the fiancé should cut the mother-in-law off or OP needs to move on. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. We have been hiding out at my apartment hoping things would cool down. To absolutely no one's surprise, they haven't. We took whatever we could that we didn't want mother-in-law breaking or leaving out on the street and left while she was at work. There had been radio silence through part of her workday, with the odd, still really mean jab thrown fiancé's way via text. Mostly stuff about how I'm a horrible abuser and how fiancé deserves to be with me and she, mother-in-law, can't wait till I beat her. Also, that I'm apparently an enabler who does everything for fiancé and made her helpless. Apparently, all those chores I've been doing at mother-in-law's house so it wouldn't all fall on my fiancé was part of some massive evil scheme. How dare I, checks notes, do basically every household chore for no pay and no recognition. Also, mother-in-law's story has changed again. Now, I've apparently hit her, threw her against the wall multiple times, and beat her relentlessly. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Dozens of harassing texts aside, we got a call from little bro sobbing because mother-in-law wanted the password for the house's Ring camera and ironically, in her attempts to get in, locked fiancé, who was keeper of the app since she was home most frequently, completely out. So nobody's in them. She forced Kid Bro to call us, demanding whatever two-factor code was supposed to be sent to fiancé for the security camera. The one that did come didn't work. She shrieked at him, demanding to get a code we weren't receiving. Anytime he tried to defend us, she threatened to call CPS on herself to get him taken away to foster care. Anytime he contradicted her version of events, she badgered him, telling him what he saw and heard and thought until he agreed, trying to stop the torment. I recorded the whole dang calls. I am not interacting with mother-in-law even tangentially without recording from now on. Fiance and I were distraught because little bro begged us to come back and to pick him up multiple times, but every time he asked, things for him escalated further and we're worried mother-in-law would call us kidnappers if we picked him up. She doesn't want me around little bro because I'm dangerous, despite the fact I've effectively helped raise him, and I'm an authorized pickup for everywhere. I'm basically the whole family's emergency contact and I'm his best friend. Shoot, I crammed 2+ decades of Pokemon knowledge into his head since he was 6. So yeah, life still sucks, but I think Fiance is getting more committed to this whole moving out and cutting off contact to the degree we can without screwing over kid bro thing. So there's a little progress. Now we just need to figure out how to get our remaining pets out of the house without things somehow getting worse. Willow P, since you've got those conversations recorded, maybe you should be the one to go to CPS and talk to them that you guys can be the guardians for little bro until he turns 18, and I'm guessing a few months. But that's just me talking without foundation because I don't know your whole story. So in the meantime, OP, here's wishing you guys the best. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is also from the subreddit entitled People, and it's by user Sugar Drenched. My husband's co-worker expected me to film her wedding for free, then dragged my name through his office when I refused. I am a 29 female videographer. I do weddings, small events, and promo videos for local businesses. My husband, 34, works at an architecture firm, and one of his co-workers, I'll call her Rachel, got married on last month, Saturday, September 28th. Rachel told me about her wedding early last month. We met each other at an office barbecue my husband's firm was hosting. She came over very friendly and said, "Oh my God, I just found out you do wedding videos. You have to do mine. It'll be so nice to have someone I already know behind the camera." I smiled and told her, sure, I'd love to send her my rate sheet. My prices are normal for the area. $1,800 for a full day shoot, editing and highlight reel. She smiled and said she'd check it out, and that was it. A week later, she texted me saying, "Wait, I thought since we're basically family through your husband's job, you'd give me a friend discount or maybe do it as a gift. Lovely emoji." I told her nicely that I don't mix personal or work connections with free jobs. I've seen how messy that gets, especially with people connected to my husband's office. She read it and didn't reply. Days passed and my husband came home from work looking uncomfortable. He said, "Hey, just a heads up that Rachel's been telling people you're doing her wedding video." I was stunned because he knew I told her I hadn't agreed to anything. I texted her asking why she'd say that, and she replied, "Oh, I just assumed you changed your mind. I've been so stressed, I figured you'd understand." I told her clearly that I wasn't available that weekend and had already booked another client. She just said, "Okay, but I really hope you reconsider." The wedding day on the last Saturday of September, the 28th, at 7:10 a.m., my phone started ringing non-stop. It was Rachel. When I finally picked up, she was crying and yelling that her videographer had cancelled at the last minute and she needed me to come through for her. I told her I had another client and couldn't just abandon them. She completely lost it, accusing me of being heartless and ungrateful after she'd always been so nice to me and my husband. I told her this was exactly why I don't mix work and personal connections, and I hung up. I blocked her number right after. My husband did end up going to the wedding for a few hours since it was a co-worker event, and he didn't want to make things more awkward at work. He said it was tense and Rachel barely acknowledged him. This past week, HR called my husband into a meeting. Turns out Rachel emailed them claiming I had agreed to film her wedding and then backed out last minute, causing her to lose precious memories. She even implied that I was somehow representing his firm because we're married. My husband had to explain the whole story to HR and thankfully they believed him. but it was still embarrassing for both of us. It's shocking that Rachel didn't stop at that. She made a Facebook post that night complaining about unprofessional videographers and tagged my business page. I had to contact Facebook to get it removed. Apparently, people in my husband's office are acting weird around him, like I'm the stuck-up wife who refused to help. I've worked hard to build my name and reputation, and I'm furious that someone's entitlement could threaten that, all because she didn't want to pay for a service. Some people really think knowing someone equals owing them. What the hell is wrong with this Rachel lady? She's a complete idiot. Who the hell can think that because somebody works at the same office, you're basically family? Unless it's a family business and everybody's related, you're an idiot. But in my opinion, the way you deal with these people is if they make it public, you call them out publicly. You've got the texts. You should have your husband give all of that information to HR and they can see for themselves how Rachel is creating a hostile work environment. That'll be good for her. Additionally, you can reply to her post calling her out for a liar. She can't delete your comments, so she'll just have to delete the post. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's check out the community comments. Lake Life as in Livin says, if I was your husband, I would file a complaint with HR about Rachel's harassment. It's as simple as that. And Dopey responds, he's done that already and HR has warned her to stop any further actions regarding the matter or it'll be handed over to legal counsel, court, which she'll definitely be penalized. Not Leif says, wow, I'm speechless. Professional photographer here. Although I avoid weddings for exactly these reasons, this is when I would seriously consider compiling evidence and at least threatening a libel or slander lawsuit. Rachel needs to be taught this kind of behavior is unacceptable. Getting a gag order put on her would be quite entertaining. Numerous Exercise 44 says, people who want free jobs or paid jobs for their weddings or other events should always make sure they have written confirmation, not just a belief that it will happen. It is amazing that the people who complain about being let down at the last minute are the same people who haven't made sure a booking is confirmed. People even make inquiries and believe that they have made a booking. This goes for photography, food, and entertainment. Whenever you hear someone saying that they have been let down at the last minute, it is, in most cases, their own failure to book correctly. And Ayor5775 says, did she really have her own videographer that cancelled last minute, or was that just another manipulation ploy to force you to do it for free? Keep all your proof of conversations between you and her, and if things don't settle down for you and your husband's workplace, then take appropriate actions to shut that entitled a-hole down. And Dopey responds, she's just a confused soul trying to make sense of a world that never made sense to her. Proof are intact. Well, everybody agrees Rachel sucks. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hey everyone, I posted a while back about my husband's co-worker Rachel who expected me to film her wedding for free, then dragged my name through his office and even HR when I refused. I wanted to give a quick update since a few people requested for it. So, Rachel actually apologized. Apparently, after HR looked into everything and my husband explained the full story, with messages to back it up, they made it clear she'd crossed some serious line. This morning, she sent my husband an email owning up to it. She said she realized she'd been unprofessional, that she'd made assumptions, and that she never should have told anyone I was filming her wedding before I agreed. She also admitted that posting about my business on Facebook was out of line and she'd taken it down. She told my husband she'd clarified things with a few co-workers who'd heard her side of the story too. Honestly, I didn't expect her to apologize at all, so that was surprising. I'm still not thrilled about the damage control we had to do, but I appreciate that she at least took responsibility instead of doubling down. Hopefully, this is the end of it. Thanks again to everyone who backed me up in the original post. You all made me feel so less crazy about standing my ground. Well, that's a refreshingly good surprise. Good for Rachel for owning up to it and apologizing. I'd still keep her blocked though. Thanks so much for sharing, OP, and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user JobVentThrow. HR are there to protect the company, not their employees. I've been struggling with my mental health for many years. Up until a few months ago, I was still able to keep up at work even though extreme client pressure. Then I started begging for help because I was struggling a lot. They promised to move me to a different team with less pressure, but kept moving the goalpost, telling me that they couldn't find a replacement due to client requirements. Early this morning, they ambushed me with a meeting with our HR director to give me two options. Either I get fired after a disciplinary hearing or go on disability. I've been begging for disability for months, so naturally I was really happy to go with option 2 as I have good income insurance through the company. Then, the HR head bitch demanded that I get the doctor's paperwork done today. I'd already been in contact with the doctor and she couldn't get it done because she'd just returned from leave and had a huge backlog. The HR bitch demanded that I go to the doctor's office to get it done today. I was feeling utterly malicious when I complied, even though it meant a 2-hour drive with the distance and traffic. I got there and managed to chat with my doctor for 2 minutes in between appointments, and she requested permission to be rude to the HR bitch, and I told her to go for it. I don't know what she said in that email, but the HR bitch was suddenly very reasonable. Now I have a full week to get the paperwork done. I'm happy. The HR bitch is the wife of the CEO and the company is about to take a huge hit because the client has found alternatives. So it's going to hugely hit their bank accounts. It gives me a very happy, fuzzy feeling. I gave years of loyal service and they're going to get their karma very soon, even if my malicious compliance is a drop in the bucket. Well, OP, I guess karma was express on this one. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.